Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's y, and today we don't have a stream today actually, but we do have another peripheral video. So today is the Dark Core RGB Pro SE, right, from Corsair. Now this is my first mouse review, right, but I have used this mouse for over a year, and so let's get right into it. Now first of all, I don't have the box anymore, but inside the box you did get a 1.8 meter USB-A to USB-C cable, right? It's around 6 feet, all right. You got the mouse itself, all right. You got an extra side grip, which we'll talk about in a bit later, and you get the dongle that's currently plugged into my computer right now, all right. So now let's talk about the looks of this mouse, all right. So now the first thing I want to talk about is the RGB, right. There is a lot of RGB on this mouse, right. We have the scroll wheel RGB, right, which is one light. We have 4 lights on the light bar right here, right. You have another light right here, another on the logo, another on this side, right. And so you have a lot of lights. You can customize them however you want using the Corsair IQ software, which we'll look at in a bit. But yeah, there's a lot of lights, and you can turn them off. You can keep them on. You can use solid color, whatever you want to do, right? And it's completely up to you. And even with them off, it still looks pretty normal. It doesn't look like there's like any missing pieces. It still looks completely normal with them off, right? Like with no RGB, it just looks like this, which is completely fine. Then I also want to talk the materials, right? So we have, some normal black plastic here, right? We have some glossy plastic in the middle, right? Then we have normal matte plastic here again. We have the scroll wheel has like a bumpy texture, right? Like a rubberized bumpy texture. Same with this feel right here, right? It's rubberized, bumpy, kind of golf ball style almost, right? Texture. Then we have some more piano black glossy right here. And this can get a lot of fingerprints out of that. But the way I hold my mouse, right, even though it's like touching it right here, it's cupping all that stuff, I don't actually get any fingerprints on this, so it's totally fine. And then we have instead of rubberized, we have a hard plastic, but still golf ball style texture right here, right, with just some normal plastics, and same thing with here, right. On the extra side grip, right, you have the same kind of bumpy kind of texture, all right. And this is something I want to talk about. Now, most mice, right? This is, by the way, a heavy mouse, right? But a lot of mice have thumb rests. Not all of them, but a lot of them do, right? And I really like them. Now, a lot of mice, though, however, don't have a pinky rest. They might have a pinky grip or something like that, but don't have actually a rest, right? So what you can do with this mouse, all right, is you can take this grip off, all right? Just like that, like magnetic, right? And take this one and put it right back on here, right? There you go. And now you have a pinky rest, a full proper pinky rest, right? And this feels really, really good. And yeah, so the mouse overall, right, does feel great. It really just kind of contours in your hand, right? It's really, really nice. And yeah, and the materials also don't feel bad. They feel pretty good. You don't really notice the golf ball texture too much. You might think you would notice it a lot, right? But once you kind of hold it, you do feel it a little bit, but it just kind of feels more grippy. It doesn't feel like it's distracting. It feels completely normal when you're using it. And even with the normal standard grip, right? This is not bumpy, right? But it still has like a little bit of texture on it, and then that does also feel really, really good. Now let's go ahead and talk about the buttons, all right? Oh yeah, wait, one thing I want to talk about for the buttons is this mouse is 142 grams for the SE version and around 138 grams for the non-SE version. We'll talk about what the SE version itself means in 1 second. But I want to talk about the buttons, all right? So just like the mouse feels great, the buttons also feel really, really great. I think they sound great, fine as well, right? It's like nothing too distracting, right? But they feel fine, right? They sound fine too. And there are a total of 8 buttons. The scroll wheel, right? The DPI button, these 2 side buttons right here, the 2 mouse button, and the back and forward buttons, right? And these are all Omron switches rated for 50 million clicks, right? And yeah, the scroll wheel also great. There's no side to side, just vertical scrolling, right? And just click, and that's it. Now let's go ahead and talk about the sensor. The sensor is a Pixar PWM3992 sensor. This is a custom sensor from Corsair, right? But it is mainly from Pixar. It's just a modified sensor. And this does have 18,000 DPI, and you can change each DPI by like 1 DPI steps, right? That's in the software. And the pulling rate of the mouse is 1000 to 2000 hertz, right? Nothing less than that. And it can go to 2000 hertz wireless as well, with the dongle included. And It is an optical sensor, so the tracking is great. And now let's go ahead and go into the wireless part and the battery, right? So I think the dongle is pretty reliable, right? This is the dongle for reference. It's really small, and it goes ahead and just fits right into your mouse really easily. And it's pretty reliable. Like I haven't had any disconnection issues or anything like that, right? It stays connected all the time. It doesn't drop off, right? And it's great. And the battery is okay. I wouldn't say it's excellent, right? They advertise a 16-hour normal expected battery life, right? And 24 hours on standby mode. And yeah, I do get something around that with all the RGB on, right? And RGB is always either on or off. There's no brightness options, right? At least as of right now. I'm sure in the software they could update that, but there is a slider and it says 100 and then or 0. That's it, nothing else. But the battery is fine, right? But thankfully, this has wireless charging. That's why the SE version is special, right? SE is like a special edition, but the SE version has wireless charging while the other one doesn't. So you can go ahead and just take your mouse and just put it on your wireless charging pad, and it'll start charging, which is just super convenient. If you have a wireless charging pad for a phone, for your AirPods or earbuds, whatever, right? You can also use your mouse and put that on there, which is really convenient. Or you can actually get wireless charging mouse pads, right, which have a wireless charger in the corner, and you kind of just slide it together. And yeah, it's really similar to Logitech's PowerPlay, right? I think that's what it's called. And yeah, but Logitech has its own non-standard one. It uses its own proprietary charging system, right? This uses Qi charging, which is available like for all phones and all that kind of stuff. And this also has a sleep mode, obviously. So when you're like not using it for X amount of time, you can change that settings, right? I have mine for like 10 minutes. If I'm not touching it for 10 minutes, it'll kind of turn itself off, right? So like turn off the sensor, turn off the lights and all that kind of stuff. And then if you move it, right, it'll turn back on. And I noticed that when you move it, the connection isn't as fast as my 8-bit Dell retro keyboard, right? But when you move it, it takes like maybe half a second to connect back to the dongle and start working again. My 8-bit Dell keyboard kind of just works instantly for some reason. I don't know, but yeah. All right, so yeah, now let's go ahead and talk about the software. All right, so this is the Corsair IQ software, right? This is a software that you use to manage all your Corsair peripherals, right? That can be your Corsair mouse, your keyboard, your headphones, your mic, right? I think even some Elgato products might also connect to this thing, I'm not sure, right? All your Corsair devices in your computer, right? So your Corsair enabled like RAM or coolers, all that kind of stuff, right? Is all controlled through Corsair's IQ software, right? And I haven't noticed a major problem with it taking up too many resources, right? I have a pretty old computer, and with this either on or off, it doesn't take up too many resources, right? Some people have said that it's pretty clunky and they don't really like it. I personally like it, so I'm fine with that. So the first thing that land to is your home page, right? And this is where you can see all your devices, right? You can control all the profiles you have, right? And you can customize it a little bit if you want. Let's go ahead and go into the Dark Core Pro SE, right? Now your mouse and your receiver will actually be considered as two different devices, all right? But you can kind of like they are linked though. It does know that. So like as you see, doing connections, right? Yeah, you can see it says pair with Dark Pro SE, right? And you can pair it if you got a new device from like that, right? And multi-point status, right, is disabled now. But what you can do is, I think it's just at an 800 hertz polling rate, but certain devices can pair with one dongle, right? So you can have like a Corsair keyboard and a Corsair mouse, right, combined and paired with one dongle, right? So you can pair with that, and that will be at a lower polling rate. I think roughly 800 hertz, but something like that, right? Let's go over to the mouse, and so we have the lighting effects first, right? So you can see, with that, you click on these sides, right, to see all the different angles, right? And this is how you control the RGB. So you can click on plus, right? You have presets, you can make customs, lighting link, all right, which links all your devices and kind of syncs them all with one kind of color, right? You can delete that. I currently have lighting link on right now, right, for all of my things, right? And you can control each thing, right? So you can scroll or just logo or side accent 1, 2, 3, 4, right? You can change custom, all the kind of stuff, right? And then key assignments, you can't rebind left click, that has to be left click, right? You can rebind everything else. You can rebind right click, middle click, which is your mouse scroll wheel, right? profile switch, which is this big button right here. DPI up and down for the two side buttons, right? Profile switch I matched, I did Control W for Chrome, right? And DPI up and down I use for volume, because I change my volume pretty often. And the forward and back I kept default for at least my default settings, right? But like if I have a game, it can automatically switch to those games, right? And those things I have my back button mounted at a crouch, right? Your DPI, you can change that. And if you have a DPI button actually enabled, right, instead of DPI, you can swap your DPI on the fly. I keep it at 800, right? We have different DPI options, and it also is sort of first calibration, right? And for this, you have to actually have it wired up, right? Just the same thing with memory mode when you're actually saving things to memory. You have to actually have it wired up. After that, you can keep it wireless. And this will kind of calibrate it based on your mouse pad and kind of do some magic, essentially. And just make sure it's actually calibrated for your mouse pad, right? And you can have different profiles, right? So you can go ahead and make a new profile. I have Fallout, for example, right? If I edit that, you can see it says Fallout, and I can change your icon. You have an image or a video, and I have all these, all my Fallout games, not all of them, but a bunch of them listed here, right? And then I can have my custom key maps and custom RGB for my Fallout games, right? What I have my all these buttons after different things, right? I just disabled the DPI, I think, completely because I don't want that. And then I have tab for down, right? To open my Pip-Boy. I have my profile switch, right? Which I did to escape, right? So I can quickly leave that. And my back is crouch, obviously. And lighting effects, right? This really cool kind of thing where I tend to have my scroll wheel be my CPU. Yeah, my scroll wheel is my CPU temperature, my logo is my GPU temperature, right? And for these two accent pieces, I keep like a kind of ghoulish green almost, right? And this part I keep like a red and green kind of effect, right? And because I just a lighting link, I can link to my headphones and they have the same kind of effect and all that stuff. So yeah, you can do a lot of things. You can save it to your mouse, which has 3 profiles, right? And you can switch them on the fly if you have one of your keys binded to a profile switch, right? And yeah, so this is how I use. Oh, I don't use that profile. I use this one. Yeah, this is kind of how I use my mouse, right? And this is how IQ works. You can go off the dashboard, right? Which doesn't have anything right now. I don't have anything in my dashboard, but you can configure that. And murals, which is just like kind of sync all your RGB together, right? And also the settings icon. You can control the units, your dashboard, which I don't configure yet. You can add like widgets and videos and all kind of stuff, right? You can check your software updates all in one place right here. We have plugins over here, right? You can log data from your sensors if you really want to, right? And you can, use the IQ SDK if you want to make some kind of custom application. You can integrate different things like Philips Hue, right? Nanoleaf, Govee, right? Those all can say if you have Philips Hue light bulbs in a room, right? You could kind of link up your entire room to have the same kind of RGB effect. Really, really cool, right? And via broadcast, you need an RTX GPU for that, right? But that can change your headphones, for example, right? It can use AI to mute out your background noise, all kind of stuff. Some privacy information right here. And you can change your device settings for each of your devices, right? So for the Dark Core Pro SE, you have your polling rate right here, your battery. The battery, by the way, is only high, medium, or low, right? There's no percentage, unfortunately. But I tend to charge mine right at medium anyways, but you can go all the way down to low, and it'll still last for a few hours beyond medium. Sleep mode, so how long it'll take to go into that sleep mode. Power saving mode is kind of like if you turn that on, turn off your RGB, right? And it has this flashing light to tell you you're in power saving mode. And it just kind of just save and turned off every while, right? But it saves power if you really want to. I keep the off for the most performance. Battery gauge notification area. So at the bottom you can see my battery right here, right? You can pair more receivers, multi-point, angle setting, turn that off. 20% turn that off because that's just acceleration. The speed, right? Button response, I keep that on because the D bounce, all that stuff, right? Split screen, you can control it, right? I don't know. You know, such a 1000 does. I'll do 2000. Why not? But yeah. Overall, this is how the IQ software works, right? And yeah, so let's get to the conclusion. So overall, this does cost $100 for the SE version, right? And I think it's worth it, right? Because I don't play many FPS games, right? As you can see, I play a lot of games like Fallout, right? Or I'll even play games like Deep Rock Galactic, which do involve shooting all that kind of stuff, right? But it's not competitive, right? So I like heavier mice, right? Like 142 grams is pretty heavy, apparently. I don't know, I like that. And it's meant for slightly larger hands as well, right? So if you have smaller hands, you shouldn't get this mouse, right? It might not fit you well. But yeah, for what you're getting, I think it's good, right? You're getting a high quality sensor, you're getting a lot of buttons, which I like. They're conveniently placed, you don't accidentally press them. You're getting some nice RGB if you're into that. And you get this, and it's wireless, it's Bluetooth as well if you really want to, right? Right here you have the different options, you turn it on and off. You can also use a wired if you want to, it's USB-C. The battery life is decent, it's not great, but it's decent. And you even have the removable side grips, right? Which, I mean, technically, if you really wanted to, it's literally just two magnets that are screwed into this thing. So you can unscrew them, make a 3D print, and custom make a grip if you really wanted to, right? So yeah, I mean, I think this mouse is pretty good for what you're getting, and I would recommend it, right? But again, it's completely up to your preferences. So yeah, that was the Corsair Dark Core RGB Pro SE review. And yeah, thanks for watching. And if you have any tips for any future mouse updates, any reviews or anything like that, go ahead and tell me in the comments, because I am trying to get better at this kind of stuff. Because this is not the content I normally make. I normally make making tech, right? Not reviewing tech. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.